Call the meeting to order. We're all present this evening. Alyssa. The invocation this evening will be given by Gerwin Norwood Jr. Flag salute. Jonathan, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Will you bow your heads? Dear Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for watching over us, protecting us, and shielding us. Lord, we're asking that you give us insight and wisdom on how to govern this body and to be able to help our community. Lord, we thank you for all things, and we come to give you the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jonathan. Item 4, consider approval of minutes of the regular commission meeting of June the 19th, 2018.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by George, second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 5, awards, presentations, proclamations, and organizational business. Item 5.1, present the pet available for adoption at the city animal shelter. Hang on.
Scared.
Gene Robertson with Enid Animal Control. What I brought tonight is about a 4.5 to 5 month old male German Shepherd. He needs a home. He comes up for adoption on the 6th of this month. He's a pretty laid back little dog. He just needs some loving and care. And we're open from 10 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 3. Come on out and take a look at what we have. We have a lot of animals out there right now.
Thank you. 4 months old?
Cute looking dog.
Thank you. Item 6, administration. Item 6.1, consider an exemption from the sign ordinance for Fairway Outdoor Advertising billboard at Garrett and Oakwood to allow the conversion to a digital face pursuant to 11-13-9.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron to approve.
Maybe we want to hear the presentation.
Yeah.
Do.
Sure.
I've heard the presentation.
Hearing no second. Gerald, is this you?
Yes.
Yes.
What this item does is, well, this particular item allows Fairway Outdoor, guys, come on up because you're going to go through this presentation here in a minute. It allows them to convert the billboard at Garrett and Oakwood over between, I think it's the Church of Christ and I think it might be the tent shop or something.
Yeah, the body shop. Mhm.
Body shop, to a digital face. That is, Carol can explain why we separated this out, but basically it was to allow you a chance to approve the exemption if you want to. Later on in the consent items, there is an actual agreement that we have, potentially if you approve, that would remove the billboard pretty much simultaneously. When they convert this to a digital face, they would remove the one that we have at Lahoma Courts. We would have one less billboard in town.
But that billboard goes away in like a year.
In 2022, so about 3 years away.
3 years.
Before you know it.
So the benefit now is if you believe something's going to happen in Lahoma Courts before 3 years from now, this would be a great opportunity to move forward. So I would like you to at least hear their presentation. Why don't you guys go ahead?
Mr. Gilbert, the only reason why I separated them is that the exemption, different times, the exemption could occur without a contract. And the exemption is separate from the agreement. But obviously, if you don't grant the exception, then we need to pull it off of the consent because they won't agree to the agreement if they don't get their billboard. So it is a joint deal, but.
It is an opportunity, so I'll let them explain it. Ryan Zolodek and Chris Bauman from Fairway Outdoor.
Yes, I'm Ryan Zaludik. I'm the real estate manager for Fairway.
How you pronounce your name?
Zaludik. One letter different. One letter different. They came in, I believe they came in through Ellis Island, and my family came in through Galveston. So
Even before I.
the stories I've always heard is that when there were so many coming through at Ellis Island that whatever they thought you said, they just kind of spelled it. So I'm pretty sure we're all related. But I'm from Tulsa originally, and there's some Zaludiks over in Jinx, and so people always, oh yeah, you know Dan. No, different ones, but we're all probably related. So
Ryan, you're definitely outmanned in Garfield County with the Zaludiks.
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. So, and I've got Chris Boffman here with me. He's our general manager for our division as well.
Glad you're here.
So,
Go ahead.
I'll keep it brief. As Gerald mentioned, Fairway will remove. Of course, right now, because of the property purchase from the city of Enid, we are tenants on the land that the city owns. We're business-friendly folks as well. Obviously, that's what supports us. So we got together with Gerald and talked about a way that we could help the city get to their goals for the development of that property, which consists of the removal of our billboard there. But that gives us an opportunity to explore this idea of a digital down at Garriott and Oakwood. So we would remove that billboard concurrent with the installation of the digital. Some of the guidelines which are in the agreement, we do meet all of the ODOT standards for digital signage as well as the federal requirements. The messages will change instantaneously, so there's no dissolve or any kind of motion or effects. Each ad will display for no less than 6 seconds, so it's essentially like a static billboard now. It just has the opportunity to rotate through different advertisers. There's no moving parts or no motion. The LEDs do have what's called an ambient light sensor, which does adjust. So on a hot day like today where the sun's shining bright, that thing's burning bright, but you can't tell because it's bright outside. When it's nighttime, when it's foggy, when it's rainy, it's going to adjust down so it's not overexerting or any kind of issue. And then we've held ourselves to a standard that's been adopted nationally. I actually have a study that I can leave with everybody if you'd like to look at on how they came up with this determination, but it's 3.3 foot candles of ambient light, so it must stay within that threshold, which, by the way, is actually a lower threshold than the signs like the state highway department puts out for road traffic, the ones that scroll a message and things like that. Those are actually have a higher brightness standard than digital billboards adhere to. So here's just a map, but it's kind of hard. I couldn't change the color of my marker, but this is the billboard that will be removed there at Garriott and Cleveland. And again, here's a picture. The removal will take place around the time of the digital conversion, which we estimate to be about 90 to 120 days. We've got to do some engineering and some other things, manufacturing and things like that to get set up. This is the west face of the removal billboard. Here's the east face. Of course, obviously, it may look a little different now that the gas station is gone. And then here's the location where we would like to do the conversion at Garriott and Oakwood. As Gerald mentioned, it's there at the body shop and next to the church. This is actually the board itself, just the west face. This is actually an artist rendering where she's overlaid an actual picture of a digital billboard, just to give you guys an idea. A lot of times you drive by digitals and you don't even really know unless you are there when it cycles to the next ad that it's actually a digital billboard. And just some of the things that are positive about digital that we always like to talk about are things that you've probably seen if you've traveled to Oklahoma City or Tulsa or places like that. Amber Alerts, we partner with the FBI and the U.S. Marshals for criminals if there's someone's escaped or a wanted criminal in this area. Those will be posted up intermittently with ad copy. We also donate public space to national and local causes. I'm sure we could probably find a little room for some space when it's available for law enforcement and the fire department and everybody else. And then some of the other things, in the past, digital billboards have been used. A couple examples would be there was a gas leak in Albuquerque. They were very timely because you can change the copy in an instant. to allow, to let motorists know that they were entering an area where there was an active gas leak and that they needed to avoid the area and be cautious. Of course, I don't know if anybody remembers the terrible tornado several years back in Tuscaloosa. When the tornadoes ripped through, there was a digital billboard that was still standing. They were able to display messages on that to let people know where they could go for shelter and food and support and help, even minutes after after the tornado had ripped through town. Same thing with the California wildfires. Obviously, they're experiencing the wildfires again, but even in the ones we've had in the past 5 to 10 years, digital billboards were utilized to alert people. Obviously, in mountain passes and things, you may not be able to see that there's a fire up ahead, and so those were also utilized for the safety of the people. So, that's what we have. We're happy to take any questions if you have them. I appreciate your time.
What are the dimensions of the billboard?
It is currently 12 by 32, 12 feet by 32, which I believe 400 is what is in the code now, but don't quote me on it, I apologize. But yeah, it would be similar. It would be roughly the same size. Sometimes the manufacturers can't quite manufacture it a precise size, but it would be roughly the same size as it is now.
Other questions?
Where do you do the messaging? I mean, it's probably done by computer remotely or whatever.
It is, yes. Our artist that's in our Oklahoma City office would be handling uploading the content.
Thank you.
I mean, Carol, do we have to have any basis to grant an exemption from, I mean, we don't allow electronic billboards. We may change it at some point. I thought we were going to bring back an ordinance before we did this again, but to have a uniform standard, but do we have to have any public purpose?
Well, economic development, under 11-13-9D, if you determine there is economic development potential for, in this instance, the city of Enid, in getting rid of the one at Garrett and Cleveland, then that would be the public purpose. Because if we can market that better and more quickly, then it will be in the best interest of all the people in Enid that it is marketed and no longer vacant. And the thought is that that would be the public purpose for granting them an exemption, because then we get the space 3 years early. That's the public purpose. It's our economic development this time, not theirs.
Mayor, I have made a motion that we approve this item. If we don't get a second, there's really no point in us discussing it.
Second.
Okay.
Motion by Ron, a second by Tammy. Further discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to say one thing. This is an opportunity, as you have seen, to make something happen, something, even if it's small, in Lahoma courts, which is not only get rid of a billboard there, but reduce by one the billboards in the city. It does, sort of in exchange or with the agreement, allow them to do a digital face. We talked about this with the one that was done last time, and digital faces are newer. Some people think they look better. Some people probably still don't like them because they're billboards.
Well, they're not shredded.
That's true.
I mean, ultimately, the public purpose for a long time in this community and the long-term goal was to get rid of billboards because they're not attractive. They are lucrative. They're a good investment. They're not particularly attractive, and certainly in communities that have kind of opened the doors on the public thoroughfares, they're far more frequent, they're much denser, and it takes away from the look of our community. And the tactic we had taken as a community for a long time was, let's make it as difficult as possible to do anything with billboards here, with the understanding that over time, as leases expire, as billboards get blown down in a thunderstorm, as whatever happens, they will go away. And eventually, we'll be in a position where we have fewer or ideally no billboards. We are basically at this point saying, we're not going to do that anymore, but we're not doing it by passing a new sign ordinance. We're just kind of backing into it by granting any exemption that comes and asks. I don't think that's the way we should really do it.
I don't think we're not saying we're not going to do that anymore. I think we're saying this one's already there. We might as well make it look nice.
No, I mean, what we're saying is we're making this billboard at Garriott and Oakwood a we're giving it a much longer lifespan, we're giving it much more value, we are stretching the lifespan of that billboard being there. The one at Cleveland and Gary, yeah, but a couple years and that's gone anyway, and we don't even have a, we don't have anything.
3 years at least.
I don't know if we know how, I mean, I don't think we can tell how long something's gonna be there, and if it's gonna be there, I would rather it look nice than not.
Right, but if the point was to, over time, get rid of this item in our community, to make our public thoroughfares more attractive, just so we're clear about this, we're not doing that anymore. Because if somebody else comes and asks us next week or in a month or 6 months to change a billboard from a static to an electronic, it's going to be really hard to, with a straight face, say, well, we don't want you to do it. I mean, we are opening the door back to billboards in the community by making them more lucrative again. And if that's what 4 of us decide to do, then it's what 4 of us decide to do. But I don't think this is the mechanism to do it. I don't think this is the appropriate way we want to make that kind of shift. And we are losing all the ground that we have made over the last decade by making it harder for these lovely people to come in and make money in our community, and clutter up our streets.
Well, we are
so
reducing-
I just feel like we should be, go into it with open eyes. We're reducing one.
We're reducing by 1. which
Yeah, it goes
accomplishes
away in
what
a
you're
couple
saying.
years.
3 years,
Actually, 4.
4 years.
Here before you know it.
And so the one that you talked about out at the location
Although
they
the 5 years I've
proposed,
spent here feels like a lifetime.
the one they're proposing, I don't know what their terms are, and from the city's perspective,
Yeah, but
I
one
don't
good
really care.
thunderstorm and the way the ordinance is structured, if we actually enforced it, you can't come replace them. And so as they get blown over and we lose them. And that's, I understand that you would like this to happen and it,
no, it's an opportunity for
Sure,
you. You
sure.
guys will make the decision. I just want you to be careful
Right.
and thoughtful.
I just
as you
want to
vote
go
tonight.
into it with open eyes as to what we're actually doing
I do too. You reduce one billboard, you do allow a digital, but
and set a
we
precedent.
have not added a single billboard. In fact, we've reduced one billboard out on Phillips and Garrett. I'm looking around for Angela. There she is. I know
And-
we've reduced one billboard already. This would reduce 2. And so I just want you to be thoughtful as your points are well taken.
Uh-huh.
But there is an opportunity to accomplish part of what you're wanting to do tonight.
One on
Go-
South.
Tammy, go ahead.
The one on South Van Buren, since it's shredded, wouldn't that mean it should just go away instead of being redone?
We already have a purchase order to have that one replaced.
I know, but,
Storm damage.
but what Ben is saying is, I mean, wouldn't technically that have to just go away?
There is a long period of time, and I don't want to put Angela on the spot, but I'm guessing it's like a year. The billboard has to go in bad repair for a long period of time, and that billboard has not been in that condition for probably more than a month or maybe 2
Now,
months.
there's also an issue with those billboards is that there's a contract the city has. Those billboards were erected by the Noon Ambucks to promote Vance Air Force Base. And if at whatever point the city decides they're not going to use them for that purpose, they revert to the Ambucks. The city would no longer have any control over them.
Regardless, the city does have control because they have a ordinance that says that if they go into disrepair, they go away.
I think
The
you would get some
other thing-
blowback on
Now,
that.
2 of you
Doesn't
talking at
matter.
the same time.
I believe if this is one of the Vance billboards,
Right.
that the ordinance actually exempts
That one.
the Vance billboards. So we exempted our own billboards
Just as
from
a
the
side,
ordinance.
I mean, and just as a side point, I'm not sure how we promote Vance Air Force Base with a billboard. I mean, we're not presumably getting new pilots with, there's a bit of a disconnect there, but that's neither here nor
Another
there.
story. But
Yeah.
I would like to say too that, the reason that I voted or proposed the approval of this ordinance is that I like these kind of billboards. I think they're attractive. You can go down to Oklahoma City and see them, and to me, they're interesting. They're the 21st century, and if we think that we're going to somehow or other in Enid, Oklahoma, make all of this stuff go away, I think we're just fooling ourselves.
Phoenix doesn't
Time.
have any.
To me, I agree with you, because our competition is Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And they are using them, and we've got to do the same thing just for our retailers to be in the competitive market.
There are cities
doesn't-
bigger than Oklahoma City and Tulsa, like Phoenix, that don't have any at all.
I mean,
That's
Bill, I'm
fine,
not
but
sure
they-
that
they're not
retailers-
our competitor. Oklahoma City and Tulsa are our competitors, Tammy.
Bill, I'm not sure, I think it's a spurious argument to suggest that retailers need billboards to be competitive. I mean, the billboard's a lucrative thing for the billboard owners and
That's your
clearly
thought. I don't
advertisers,
agree with
but.
Can
but
I address
think-
that point?
No, I mean, I think,
Just-
I think it's all, I mean, I think
He'll
it's clear
finish
where
in
it's
just a
going, but.
minute.
I mean,
No,
moreover, drive up and down in Oklahoma City on Broadway Extension and there's
I go there quite often.
500 billboards and it's awful. I mean, that's not what I want to see driving through
But you're
town.
not
I
a
want to see.
retailer.
Yeah, but I live here and I get a vote, so there you go. I mean, I want to see trees and houses and businesses and not big gaudy signs. But I think it's also moot because I can count and we can move on and
whoa,
vote and go on our merry way.
I do
But-
agree with you on all
When
of
Ben
those
and you are
points.
through, they would like to speak.
Fine.
Go ahead, Tammy. Go ahead.
I agree with you on all of your points. I don't like them either, but the ones that we have, I would like to look nice. That's my whole point for it.
Public.
Go ahead.
And I certainly do respect your point because I've been in this business for a long time, so I understand. We actually, it's funny because I think a lot of times people look at the billboard guys and think that we don't want any regulations. We see that regulations are necessary to keep it out of check because everybody's been to a city where there are too many of them, and that's actually bad for business anyway. But the one thing that I did want to point out, and you mentioned retailers, you guys get your TV from Oklahoma City, correct? Your TV stations are Oklahoma City? Most of your radio stations are probably Oklahoma City, with the exception of a few locals maybe?
Versus Tulsa, yes.
Well, for Enid. So what that does is that puts a lot of pressure on your small businesses here to advertise. And so billboards are, I know a lot of people just don't believe it, but they've never really taken the time to look at it. But billboards are a low-cost method for people to promote their business. And so that is something that it's not just about us trying to make money. I mean, I'm a person too, I'm just trying to do a job. So it's that's all it's about. But it is an opportunity for local businesses to be able to advertise without having to spend a ton of money or waste a ton of money. I mean, if you're advertising on K4 or something else, you're casting a wide net. But are those dollars really being utilized well? If you're on a billboard with Fairway here on Garriott or on Van Buren, you know that you're hitting local traffic and you're pulling in local people and driving them to your business.
Other questions, concerns? We have a motion.
Ron made a motion, right?
Yep, and I second.
Tammy seconded.
Ron, you made the motion?
No,
Ron
Ron
did.
did.
I did.
Tammy
Twice.
made the second.
Ron, Tammy made the second.
Then Ben interrupted, but
Further discussion?
Per usual.
Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-1. Item set, I'm sorry, thank you,
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
thank you. We'll give you 90 days.
220.
220.
Hey, Mayor, mine didn't light up. Just to let you.
light ain't lighting up.
It flashed briefly.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Do you want to vote again?
We can pass.
And now let's do it right.
Yes or no?
Cast your
I
vote
just
again.
noticed it. There we go.
6, motion 6. I didn't count them right.
Well, it
Motion
fla-
carries
It
6-1.
flashed briefly.
It's gonna be a long.
Motion carries 6-1. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Item 7, consent items.
Should be an electronic voting board.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent items with the exception of item 11. I want to withdraw item 11.
Okay? We have a motion to
Second.
approve the consent items, all but number 11.
7-11.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Ron. Second?
Yeah.
Ben? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 7.11, approve agreement between Rogo Consulting LLC and the City of Enid.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion by Tammy, a second by Jonathan. Discussion.
I'd like to make 2 changes in the contract. We do have a copy of the contract attached to the agenda. And one of them is that Mr. Rogo indicated that he sends some type of correspondence to the city manager every week. That's correct, Darrell?
Yes.
And I would like to see the city commissioners get copies of those items. And the other thing is that, I've expressed my opinion about the importance of our contract with Mr. Rogo. And I would like to see us reduce his contract to $3,000 a month or $36,000 a year from the current 48. We have recently reduced a number of the contracts that we have. And I think we need to be concerned about spending our money, and I just feel like that the state legislature is only in session for what, 4 months a year?
Unless
We're
they're in
paying him
special
12
session.
months a year. I know he does contacts with agencies and things, but in any case, I think that $36,000 would be an adequate amount of compensation. Now, those are the two changes that I'd like to propose.
I have a question. We've approved the budget.
Yes, sir.
That showed 40,000.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, 48,000.
48,000, yes, that was approved, and I believe is it EDA or is it in general government? It's in general
General fund. Even though we've approved it, doesn't mean we have to spend it.
There was a comment in one of his documents that said he would reduce it to 3,000 a month.
I think that
To me, that's
he has spoken to all of you. I think that when we talked about this before, and we've talked with Kurt, he's spoken to each one of you, I think, and what he's doing for us, I think, is valuable, and I think he wants to continue to do it. I think he's good at it. What I have gotten out of some of this is, besides what you've just said, is that we want to bring Kurt in sooner now in the off-season in some kind of study session or separate meeting where we have some municipal issues of interest to us that Kurt can actively go out and push and/or promote. I know he's working closely with OML. He was it last time he was here with, I think it was last meeting, Mike Fina was here, and the new legislative affairs consultant OML was here as well. He knows her. They're working closely together. When Carol and I talked about this item from our previous discussions with you, we chose to put it on like this, and certainly you guys can make any modifications you want. However, I think you've already made a motion and a second.
Well, to me, things are going to change in the legislature because it's going to be a totally new legislature.
Yes, and he's reported to us about, in fact, we could go back and look at some slides he's shown us about how much turnover there is, and there will
Tremendous
likely be
amount.
more because of the term limits
That's my point.
occurring and some of the issues that are causing the electorate to make changes.
That is my point. Further discussion?
My motion stands to approve it as is.
Said.
My motion stands to approve it as is without it changing anything.
Ron's already made a motion.
No, I haven't made a motion.
I made
Tammy
Okay,
initially.
I'm
I haven't
sorry.
made the only
I
motion.
made the motion. And John,
Jonathan,
And I seconded it.
We have a motion by Tammy, second by Jonathan. Would you read the motion, please? As is. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-1. Item 10, I'm sorry.
I voted against this item now, Bill, on 6 straight year. I want to keep my record intact.
Nothing if not consistent.
Well, we're going to item 10.
8.
Go to
8, actually.
That's going to get you out of here about 10 seconds earlier. Item 8, we will now recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. All of the trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting are in attendance. Item 10, the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 10.1, consider a resolution amending the 2018-2019 fiscal financial plan for the Enid Municipal Authority in the amount of $650,000. It's a big number.
It is. This is for the EMA is in the process of purchasing water rights. So the purchase was not included in the original budget that we approved in May. So this would be an amendment to to appropriate those funds.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ron, and second by Jonathan. Further discussion? Please cast your vote.
Ben stepped out.
Motion carries 6-0. Item 10.2, approve an agreement with United Engines Company, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, to lease 3 compactor trash trucks for the solid waste department for up to 3 years in the amount of $832,164.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron,
Second.
second by George. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Thanks for the pictures.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Congratulations on your new.
Yeah.
Item 11, Enid Municipal Authority consent.
I think this is the first, isn't it? Have we ever had the consent on every different part of the agenda?
I wondered about
It's
that.
new and improved.
Item 11.1, consider exercising the
Wait,
I'll approve that we approve the consent items.
second.
Well, just a technical thing, I don't think we realized we were doing consent, and if we did, we should have said approve exercising the option on 1 and approve exercising the option on 2. So, as long as we understand that, because consider is neutral. So since we are going to do 11, 1 through 5, let's just note that we are approving all of them approval rather than the neutral consider.
Should the language in the motion perhaps be consider and approve the consent agenda?
Yes.
Is that Ron's new motion?
Actually, you've got me completely confused. But if she thinks that that's what we ought to say, yes, I'm more than willing to say
Second.
it.
I second that.
So he modified his motion and you second.
Yeah.
Did you get all that down, Melissa?
If she did, she's better than I am.
If not, you can check with Carol
Lawyer after.
Thursday. Make sure we get it right.
Okay.
Item 12.
Oh, we got to vote.
You had a motion and a second, so you got to vote.
Ron made the motion.
Who made the second?
Second.
Ben,
Ben?
please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Now, item 12. We will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. Item 13, all of the trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting are in attendance. Item 14, the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 14.1, approve the contract for Enid Economic Services between the Enid Economic Development Authority and the Enid Regional Development Alliance, Inc.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Tammy,
Second.
second by Gerwood. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-1. Item 14.2, approval of claims in the amount of $4,000.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jonathan,
Second.
second by Derwin. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-1. Item 15, we will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Public Transportation Authority. Item 16, all of the trustees of the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting are in attendance. Item 17, the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 17.1, approval of claims in the amount of $700.09.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Derwin, second by Jonathan. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 18, we'll now adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item 19, public comments. We have one person signed up. Diane?
Diane Levesque, 1324 West Oak Avenue, Enid, and I have a supporter asked me to bring this to the City Commission's attention. Downtown, where there's lovely landscaping and shrubbery, there's a matter of where the road dips from downtown to, that's what, eastward. Maine is a particular problem, and he told me to point out to you that the landscaping, especially on Maine, when he's trying to make a right-hand turn, it requires him to pull into the pedestrian lane just to see if there's anything coming up the dip. And you have ordinances, I'm sure, that has to do with public safety for your shrubbery, but you might want to make a special section as to what's appropriate where dips are. And I'm surprised that public safety wasn't considered by Mr. Ezell with regards to your billboard, because one of the things that billboard does that other billboards won't do, and that is inform traffic on the road where they can take refuge in the event of a tornado when the siren goes off. Public safety, number one. That billboard will do what no other does. Now, it's also come to my attention, although I haven't heard this recently, somebody is being an imposter, claiming to be a city contractor, having to do with the forcible cleaning of and mowing of property. They'll just go ahead and mow the property, say, hey, city told me to do that, and they'll cause damage. If this is an actual city contractor, I want to make sure that you have reputable people doing the contracting that don't commit vandalism simply because they have a city contract to do what they're doing. Okay, I'm going to have to reshuffle this because Mr. Rogo comes to mind with this next one, and that is in terms of city property values, Mr. Rogo can have an impact on that. If he goes and does something about the puppy mill legislation, I understand that's a state level thing. And after our few rains, I can tell you that nobody wants to live next door to a puppy mill that smells so fragrant, especially right after a rain. And it's not just the puppy mills. It's dogs that are kept outside, and their owners don't pick up after them, keep their own yards clean in that regard. So if you're going to go around keeping yards picked up and that sort of thing, you need to do something about the dogs. And given that there's state legislation that governs that, Mr. Rogo would do you a great favor if he would see to modifying such state laws as that. Now, closer to home, this is, of course, Happy 4th of July, and it is where we come into heat advisories. We have old people like me and much older that can't afford to hire lawn maintenance people. But with the elderly being particularly susceptible to heat advisories, if the code department is going to give them an orange Valentine for their yard because they haven't had it mowed, they need a grace period of extra time to do that slowly. Now, I myself have got 4 lots to mow. I'm not particularly elderly, but I'm certainly retired, and I'm subject to such things as heat stroke myself. So what I'm going to do, and get really artistic about it, I'm going to take my time mowing, and I'm going to do design work in the high grass where it does get high. So every time the code department comes by with the camera, they'll have something spectacular to show each time they file a picture. But we're getting back down to dogs now, too, as I understand it.
Diane, please wrap it up.
I will, but this is important because of the dog problem in my own neighborhood. I know that we're responsible for keeping easements mowed. Well, I have neighbors that walk their dogs up and down easements, leaving poop, and there's not enough money in Fort Knox that'll pay me to run my mower through that much dog poo.
Thank you. Item 20. consider convening into executive session to discuss economic development proposals from Enid Regional Development Alliance and proposals from Ricky Hayes of Retail Attractions, the city's retail consultant, economic development proposals, and reconvene into regular session to take any necessary actions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by George, second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you for joining us for the Enid City Commission meeting. All meetings are broadcast on local cable channel 12 and in high definition on channel 112. In addition, the council meeting is live streamed on the web at enidtv.org. If you have any questions or comments regarding this broadcast, please visit the City of Enid website at enid.org.